Just speaking about organization, I think this is an important topic that I think a lot of companies can, think about and learn from. But you can think about different ways to organize data science teams. One is to have a central team only and just do that, and then everyone goes through that as soon as you want to do something data and AI type of process. Or you can go the other extreme, which is everything is embedded and the data scientist is a part of some kind of product team or finance team or whatever, sales team. And they help them in different ways. And I think both have pros and cons, but what's your thought about this? How can we find, the best type of organization to really accelerate AI throughout an organization?
The $1 million question.
It is one of them.
Yeah. No, but so I think depending on the culture of the organization, if it's very sort of people listen to the top management and they just execute on what they're told to do, then probably the central team is going to be the best one. Whereas if you have more of a decentralized organization where people don't necessarily do what they're told to, then you might need to have more people in the different divisions or business areas. But I think there's one aspect that you lose if you do completely decentralized, and that's the governance part. That's the kind of ethical framework that you want your algorithms to move around. That's all of the sort of how should we be deploying stuff? You're going to end up with as many different solutions as you have humans in worst case, and that won't scale. So there are some parts where it's kind of comply or die, and some parts where you can be as creative as you want to.
And I think this is a super important topic, and it has a huge, context is also how large the enterprise is and how many business domains you have and stuff like this. But I working at Vattenfall and working a lot with Scania right now, I can tell you both very decentralized cultures. A central culture will never work. You need to be very, very close to the main problem to solve it. On the other hand, if we want to truly share data and do the contextual funky data stuff, you kind of need to have your central frameworks so you can basically use the data. So then the federated approach, something what I think I hear between the, I've been the most closest to this one, and also it's a little bit like, it's about the federation because we are decentralized, but it's also about the maturity. Where do you start and where do you want it to end up? So I think it's a beautiful model that you are describing, that if you go for it, and I couldn't be more happier if you can graduate from the central team into an embedded team when they are ready to take you on.
Yeah.
So I think it sounds pretty smart.
I mean, it sounds like a hybrid approach.
And I think this is very, very important to understand, that in the large enterprise, the fundamental problem to do really, really cool stuff will be how will I get the data that is produced in one domain team to flow to the other team? Okay. So then even if we are working with data products or analytical products out here, we kind of need to have the same data catalog, right? We kind of need to have some of the fundamentals that basically makes data sharing possible in a safe way and in a fast way. So that I can't get away from that. Okay. Building central monoliths, it's not really going to work either, right? I have a hard time not ending up sort of in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, data catalog to some extent, I guess.
That was an example, right?
Yeah, I'm going to humble brag. I was at MIT last year.
Yes, so cool.
I was invited to a panel at this wonderful conference called CDO IQ. So it's like chief data analytics officers, I guess I'm that, and chief data officers, and just people who work with data in big organizations in the US. And it's like it's really, really good. It was founded by Richard Wang, who's like one of the absolute leaders within sort of data organizations. And he's the coolest guy ever. He's like really, really, really nice and really happy all the time. So it gives a lot of energy to talk to him. And there, a lot of the people were talking about exactly this. Like even when it comes to your data, you need to kind of structure it in sort of in different levels. So you have kind of the group common information that you need in order to be able to connect different things. And then you have the sort of less group common, but probably business common data sets. And then you have the sort of funky stuff that I use to look at sustainability for Inner Mongolia, and that's it.
Super niched.
Yeah. And maybe we don't start there. So it is very sort of, even there, it's quite good to have like the same kind of hybrid approach where you have individuals that actually work in the business that love data, and you allow them to work with the data over time so that they do all the quality and cataloging and stuff. And then you just need to figure out how to make them connect to each other.
So in short, would you agree with the central team can govern the data and the processes and the best practices in a good way, but what really also make it scale throughout the company is to have like AI-enabled teams or domain experts, right?
Yeah. You need both. Yeah. You kind of need both. Yeah. And then it becomes, what role does a central team play versus the local team? Because so when if you really think that we all mature, then the central team is more about serving and having the frameworks and having the methodologies, and less about building the data product that's happening somewhere else.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, you probably need to help build the data product as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I would say that since it's such a big area and it moves so fast, I would say that there's also the kind of the need to keep track of what's going on out there. Yes. So almost like just keeping track of what a researcher is talking about, what kind of algorithms are trending right now, what kind of technology is there that we could look into applying.
So this is another mission for the central team to really get the best of the best in, and then diffuse it out in the community. Yeah,
get the best of the best in, but also encourage individuals in the organization that aren't necessarily in the group team to also be curious and to be able to funnel that information to each other.
Yeah, but then you also highlight that the central team has actually a responsibility to manage and maintain the community.
Yeah.
That's a key topic in itself.
Yes. The humans.
Humans.